Hi guys, my name is Isabella Greene, and today I'd like to share with you something amazing that just happened to me last night. I know people love the stories of mystical and otherworldly experiences, and so I have decided to start sharing mine online here and in writing too, because I get plenty of these and they're really fascinating, like movies. And so yesterday I was in a group of women. I went to the goddess gathering where we had a circle of 13 women, and at some point of the evening we were doing a guided meditation to connect with the goddess. A part of this meditation was to enter a sacred or a secret garden where we meet with goddesses. I've never done this, I've never gone to the secret garden to meet a goddess, and so I just decided to, get in the zone and follow whatever happens. So next thing I knew, so the voice, the woman who was leading the meditation, was suggesting for us to visualize the path walking towards the garden and start walking that path and then enter the garden and meet the goddess. So as I'm looking for the path, I'm seeing a ramp that leads to a sacred space, or a specifically designated space for recreation and connection inside a craft. And it looked to me like a spacecraft that is occupied by a really high number of these beings living there, and I wasn't even sure if it was a craft or if it was a floating city suspended in space, but I know in my head there at that moment that I am inside that craft, and I'm looking at the ramp that leads to the opening in the space that contains the secret garden. Firstly, I'm noticing that I am in the male form. Meanwhile, I'm in a circle of women doing this work, but I'm in a male form, and it's not a human form. It's a humanoid being that looks like a Nordic being, or maybe a Pleiadian Atlantean mix, that type of being, that really tall, wearing skin-tight blue, like space suit kind of thing, like the way they are portrayed or painted. If you Google a Nordic being or a Pleiadian, you would see that kind of suit that is usually drawn on them. So I'm wearing that kind of suit, and I'm a blonde, not just blonde, like paper white hair. And I know that I have blue eyes, and I'm looking down and I'm seeing my boots, and they're like space boots, that's for moving around the craft. And I'm looking at the end of the ramp to where the garden is, and it's contained within an artificial environment that is enclosed in a sphere, like a spheric bubble, that to human mind would look like really beautiful, very thin, clean, transparent glass. But I'm aware that that's not glass, that's some otherworldly material, and it's more etheric than physical. But nonetheless, it creates that bubble, and the ramp is leading right to it. And so I'm hearing the voice guiding us to start walking the path. And so I step onto the ramp and I start walking. And as I'm walking closer and closer to the garden, I'm getting smaller and smaller. I'm seeing my feet getting smaller and smaller. My outfit is not changing. My boots are the same. My spacesuit, the blue-colored outfit, is the same, but I'm getting smaller and smaller. And then by the time I reach the entrance into that spheric space of the garden, I'm small. I'm a boy. I'm about 4-year-old boy who is that same being, except as a child. The same man that I saw earlier, except as a child. and looking inside the garden, and I'm seeing the really lush vegetation there, except it's not vegetation. It looks like circular discs, like flat discs of shimmering, transparent, semi-etheric energy of pale blue and pale pink color, kind of the color of marshmallows. That's what, like, I caught myself thinking that, like, wow, that color is so vague that it's almost like the marshmallow colors. As I walk in, I see many paths going through the vegetation. Well, I'm just translating that into human terms, right? It's not vegetation. Those discs are suspended in space, but they are creating that lush garden-like feeling, like in the jungle where there are a lot of big leaves around, but here they're on plants, and here they are just all around like that. And they're discs, and they're shimmering, and they seem like they're suspended in space, but they're changing a little bit in their frequency, and it's just gorgeous. And I see pathways kind of between them, like you would have in a jungle, between plants, or in a botanical garden, more like a botanical garden. That had a feeling similar to a botanical garden here on Earth. And so as I walk towards the center of the garden, I start calling in the goddess, because I hear the voice now, the human voice saying, start calling in the goddess. So I'm starting to call in the goddess in my heart, and this magnificent being just materializes right in front of me, and it's so tall that it has a headpiece on, like the pointy, kind of like a pointy etheric garment on top of her head, and it's a feminine being, a divine mother, and she's so tall that the point on the top of her head is touching almost the roof of that sphere, and she's all shimmering and transparent, and she's also of these same type of colors of the blue and the pinkish, but more intense. So I can actually make out her physical form, but it's still semi-transparent and shimmering and moving. And I know that she's my mother. But it's not like the biological mother here on Earth. It's like a creator mother. It's the force that gave me life in that space, in that bubble, in that city, in that other dimension. And the love that is emanating from that being, it's not even that it is emanating, that being is love. And I see that she has eyes, and the way she's looking at me, it's melting me. I'm that little boy in front of her, and I'm melting from that presence of that love. And she reaches out and takes my hand, and we merge. I can feel that love, and I can feel that magnificent energy, and the frequency of this experience, and the frequency of the space, and the frequency of this being is just so incredible and high and beautiful. So we stand there for, it felt like, a while, and there is no need to have a conversation because we are merged, we're one consciousness, and so we're just sharing that space of love. And then I hear the human voice saying, all right, pull out and start saying goodbye to the goddess and start walking out of your garden. And I really don't want to go because it feels so amazing there with that divine mother being. But, well, I have to say goodbye. And that moment, that boy remembers that he's also on Earth somewhere. And so I remember saying to her, at the moment when I have to go, and she knows that I have to go, and I say, Mom, actually I said mother, because not mom, mother, I need help down there on Earth. And I received the answer in the form of that telepathic communication that is translated like a voice, but it's not really a voice, it's just that knowing. And I hear it with like every aspect of my being. And she says, you are greatly loved. Go back and keep doing what you're doing. And so she starts stepping back. She lets go of my hand and she starts stepping back into the discs and kind of merges right back into them. And I turn around, and as that little boy, I start walking back. And as I step on the ramp and I'm walking down the ramp, my feet start growing, and I'm seeing myself growing back into that man, or that male divine being that I was at the beginning of this process. And then I remember that I know that being, and I've interacted with that being a lot. And then in a number of visions, it felt, that being felt like myself. In other visions, it was like I was looking at him from being someone else or being the same type of species. And in that case, he was like a captain of my mission, a captain of my ship, and one of my team, or one of my crew. I had visions with this being just standing there looking him in the eyes and feeling that same state of incredible love, where you merged to the point that you don't know where one ends and the other one begins, but you still have the awareness of your own physical form. So that experience touched me tremendously. When we were done with the meditation, we were asked to move and dance and move the bodies and get back here into the physical experiences. And I kept holding on to the feeling of that space and that connection and that presence of Divine Mother energy. And I really feel that it purified me on some level, and it really felt like going home. So I guess that's one of the aspects of myself, and here I am telling you guys about it because it had such a strong and profound experience on me. And the whole experience took 20 minutes in human time, 20 minutes of meditation. Well, so here's that amazing story. I will be back with more because, like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to be sharing my stories and visions now on my channel. So please subscribe if you like this, and I will talk to you soon. Lots of love. Namaste.